Yeah, how about some carrots? You want some carrots? I didn't go anywhere. The wife went to Rancheritos. Delivery, dog.
They can't. Now they can hear me.
Oh, hey there.
Rancheritos. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I just looked up at the preview and I just saw you like shaking a carrot and then eating it. That was
Yes,
great.
I watched it. On our delay, it works perfect.
Oh, fantastic. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing on this lovely Sunday? Happy Easter. Wow. We just know how to choose the right time to always be on some sort of a holiday.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just good like that. Our dedication. In fact, we're just not gonna live stream any other time besides holidays. It seems is.
Would you like me to hold you to that, sir?
That's the pattern that we're. No, I don't want that.
No.
Carrots look good.
Carrots are tasty. No. Carrots, spicy carrots are better.
Kenny, the sticky caps happens to the best of us. Don't worry about that. But I hope you're all doing well. This is the first weekend of warmth that we've seen in many a moon. It's delightful. I got a little bit burnt yesterday, but not too bad. I got burnt last weekend too. Actually, worse.
Put sunblock on.
Nice, very nice.
This last weekend. Oh, there she is.
Oh
again.
Man, I don't. Oh, hello.
Oh, hi.
She's
everybody.
like, I just want to be famous. Can't I be famous with you?
Be famous with the RC people. I'm so cool too. I just see my other lab. He's a chicken shit. He's over there.
Okay. I just realized that my giant 3D printed project that I was going to show off is downstairs in my garage, so that's unfortunate. But
all right, so Al, you're telling me I have to entertain people for about 20 seconds?
No, that's okay. We don't have to show it off. I can just leave it a secret.
You want to show it off? You're like, I can just build it up. It's down in my garage. Here, I gotta go grab it. I can talk more about carrots, dude.
All right, dude. Talk about carrots.
Look at this carrot.
You got this.
All right, so the reason why I'm eating carrots is because my wife went and got breakfast burritos this morning. And, you know, a spicy carrot from Rancheritos, there's nothing better sometimes in the morning. This has nothing to do with RC, but why not? So Alec is grabbing his 3D printed project that he's been working on for quite a while now. Pretty much since it started snowing quite a bit in December. And then kablamadaman, there it is, his 3D printed project. And I only could stall so long. I'm glad you showed back
up. How did that go for you? Did that go well for you?
I talked about carrots for about like 10 seconds.
Did you actually talk for carrots for that long?
All material here.
Dear Lord.
I talked to him about like, hey, there's a 3D printed project he's grabbing, which they kind of saw as you walked in, so you might as well grab it.
Yeah.
And show it off.
Well, no, let's talk about what you 3D printed for this week. What'd you 3D print this week?
Oh, you're gonna pull that card on me?
Mm-hmm.
What did Mike 3D print this week?
Looks around his hobby room furiously for something that he may have 3D printed this week, maybe next week.
I printed off a V4 set of stuff for the comp, whichever that is.
When you say a V4 set, you mean a set of stuff for the G-Speed V4.
So yeah, the G-Speed V4.
Nice.
For the giveaway next week, I printed wherever it is. I don't know where it is. I printed a skid plate. I printed a laydown mount, some bumper mounts, and I printed my V4 sliders that Jason and I designed.
Ooh, you're gonna have to show those on the stream because those are custom Sons of Crawl design.
Yeah, okay. I'll grab the rig in a second. Let's see. I've printed a bunch of these for the Micro Club.
Little mini cones. That's
Little
an
mini
excellent
cones.
3D print. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't ever have too many cones.
I tried to kind of like the helmet kind of messed up, but I was printing this.
Oh, I saw you posted that in the chat. I love it.
Yeah, that might be the head of
Oh,
my deadbolt. Might go
mm,
on there for the new deadbolt.
I like it.
Um,
I like it.
you can't see it yet because it's actually getting printed right now. I'm printing an LCG skid right now for the Stealth X transmission. I'm actually going to swap it back onto this new build that I'm doing.
Is that the one that turns the Stealth X sideways?
Yeah, it cocks it just a little sideways, but not like the
Not full.
tilt.
Yeah, yeah.
Not full send. So this is the new build, the one you were like, oh yeah, the V4.
Oh.
Don't look at my cut lines, everybody. T Slut Crawler T has not been over to help me make it look better. Here, let's look at the other side that hasn't been cut. It's so much better.
Are you talking about the cut
yeah.
line for the slider?
So yeah, what it is?
I didn't even notice it.
I have these. If you look closer, I have these sliders so they move.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you don't have that rock that gets in between anymore. So
I gotcha.
Stuff. You looked at it closer. Why are you making me show it?
You did it to yourself.
Anyways, so I'm replacing this skid.
Gotcha.
So we'll see if it works. See if it likes it. If it messes with it more, we might have to cut this again. I had to cut a room for the spur gear.
You'll probably have to recut that if it's going to be tilting that transmission more.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe it will poke it down just far enough to.
Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah, I guess it's possible.
But yeah, Donut Boy, if you're watching, I'm definitely going to be handing this body off to you in Windover. But
well, nice. That's successful. I had my first big 3D printer error this week. I went to
raise the alarm.
Yep. It was bad. It was actually pretty gnarly, and I don't really know why it happened. I just know that I was able to fix it. But What'd you do? But I don't know what caused it.
See if I've done it before. I got the punch card full.
So, okay, here's what I think happened, or here's what I think caused it, but I can't be certain about this. I decided that my fan on the hot end fan was way too dusty, and so I figured that I needed to dust it. And my roommate just got this nifty little tool that lets you. It's like a vacuum, but in reverse. It just blows air. It's like a can of air. You know how they have the like can of air that you use to dust stuff, but it's like electric, so that you don't have to buy a million cans of air. I'm definitely getting one of those. If you don't have one of those, that's really cool. But I used it on my hot end fan because it was way too dusty, and in doing so, I made the fan stop functioning. It just, I don't know why, but it just stopped spinning at all. And so I figured, okay, I cleaned it so well that it must now be, I must have gotten the dust out of all the nooks and crannies, and that caused it to not be hot anymore. And so it doesn't need to be spinning. The fan is just going to kick on when it needs it. And so I convinced myself that I hadn't broken the fan. And so I started a print right after that with the fan not spinning. And it seemed to wildly fluctuate in temperature. Like it would go, like if I set the temperature to 208 degrees, it would shoot past 208. It would go all the way to like 215 degrees, and then it would pull itself back and it'd go back. But it couldn't really hold steadily at a temperature. It was kind of always in flux. So I thought, oh, that's a little weird. Well, we're going to try it anyways. So I started the print, and it got maybe a minute into the print before I was doing something on my computer, so I wasn't looking at it, and I just heard like a clunking noise. It sounded terrible. It sounded awful. And so I looked over, and I could tell that the filament was no longer being, like the roll of filament wasn't spinning. It was just standing still. And I looked down at the extruder, and the extruder was like, it was trying to spin, but it was like catching, and it was like going kunk, kunk. And so I turned everything off. I said, this is a terrible idea. I turned everything off, and I noticed that the fan on the hot end still wasn't spinning. And it said that it was at 208 degrees, but it didn't. It was being weird. So I turned everything off, and then I went, and the first thing I did was pulled the filament backwards out of the tube, and it was really resistant. Like, I could barely get it to come through the tube. And when I finally pulled the end out of the tube, it was probably 3 times the diameter that it was supposed to be, as if it had melted into a giant puddle in the tube, but it had been maintained by the tube. And I feel like I got really lucky, because I was able to pull it back out.
You pulled out the clog.
Yeah, exactly. I pulled the whole clog out. Yeah. Because I caught it as soon as it started, as soon as the teeth on the extruder started skipping, I caught it and I pulled it back out. And it was still warm enough that I was able to pull it out, and it pulled the whole clog out and back through the tube. But it barely fit through the tube. Like, barely fit through the tube. And then once I got that out, I pulled the hot end assembly apart, and I cleaned the fan really thoroughly, and I really got in there and got all of the debris and everything out of there. And then the next time that I turned the printer on, the fan spun up, and it's been fine ever since. I've done four prints on it since then, and it's been fine. But yeah, it was a little scary in the moment. I thought for sure I was going to be replacing at least an extruder, if not an extruder and a hot end. But I managed somehow to get away with doing that to myself and not breaking any parts. At least so it seems.
Don't worry, those fans, they cost like less than $10, and they're really easy to install, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm in penny pinching mode, so that $10 fan has to last.
I'll buy you a new fan.
Ginger Ninja says, when I bought my 3D printer, I had no idea that the fan wasn't working for half a roll of PLA. Oh my god. That's bad, but I'm surprised that it functioned at all. I mean, within the first minute and a half of the first print that I tried to do without the fan working, it gave up.
It's all right.
It needs that fan.
For like 3 months.
You haven't cleaned your nozzle for like 3 months?
No, I clean them all the time, but originally I didn't clean them ever.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't ever clean my my stuff, and it got gnarly.
Yeah, the nozzle is one that you definitely gotta keep an eye on. Especially what I've noticed with the nozzle is it's especially pertinent to keep that clean if you do a print and then you don't do another print for like 2 weeks, because everything in there really hardens up. And so you gotta heat everything. You gotta do the preheat cycle, heat everything up, but then you really gotta work through that nozzle and try to get because it just sticks on the side of the nozzle.
Every time I clean my 3D printer nozzle, I think of when you first showed me how to do it. You're like, just get it in there.
Get it in there, man.
Get all the little
you just gotta. It's like that. Yeah.
I'm not doing as far as Alec is.
You gotta get it all the way as deep in there as you can get her. Yeah, that's what you need.
You just want to be on TV.
We have a third host today, everyone.
Yes, this is Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. So I guess I'll show off my. It's not really fully finished.
See, that's why I didn't even grab any of my 3D prints, really, because yours is so much cooler than mine.
Oh, I'm just so excited that this whole thing is 3D printed. It really makes me happy.
It's not a bag of parts anymore. I got sick of you showing that thing. Like, what did you 3D print this week? And you just show this box.
It did. I will say it went from a bag of parts to a complete build fairly quickly. So for anyone who's interested in doing this, don't take my example as like it's going to take forever to put it together. If you have the time to do projects, which is just the problem that I have, is I don't have any time to do any projects. If you have the time to do projects, this will go pretty quickly. This was like, honestly, the build time itself on this was probably only, well, it probably could have been like 3 hours, and because of my stupidity, it was closer to like 5. You know, I'm like average level stupidity, so I feel like that could happen to
It's all right,
other
Alex.
people.
You're smart in certain departments. You're just not smart in
Yeah,
others.
yeah, exactly. But I do. This thing is ingenious. Honestly, my favorite part about this of everything, which is really sad because there's like a lot of cool stuff about this, but my favorite part is this seat, which is like spring loaded and it holds itself on there. And it's like I 3D printed this, and it's actually a cool ass battery cover that works really well. Like you just do that, and then it springs on and it holds itself in place. And then when you're ready to take the battery cover off, you push that up, and it just pops right off. It's so cool. Come on, that's cool.
I thought you were gonna say the tread. The tread looks pretty bitchy.
Okay, the tread is pretty sweet. If you were going to do this yourself, I would consider how loud you want this thing to be, and if you didn't want it to be really, really loud, I would print the tread in TPU. I printed this tread in PLA Plus, so it is a hard tread. It slides really smooth, really easily, and it works really well, but it is loud, and so I think TPU would be a little quieter. But I don't really care about it being loud. It's just something to consider, especially if you're like doing this. If you're gonna do this, they say that in the manual they say that printing, or I think it's on the Discord channel. So there's it comes with like a giant PDF manual that tells you how to print everything and how to put it all together, and that manual is fantastic. But they also give you access to a Discord server when you purchase the files. And the Discord server is full of people who are constantly doing all sorts of stuff with them. So it's a really helpful place to figure out all of the things that you run into, all the weird stuff that you run into when you're building it. On the Discord server, they say that printing in TPU, you might get slightly better like grippiness. Like it might actually bite a little bit better just because it can kind of flex into places, but you'll get but it does mention that you'll get a better slide. You'll get a more smooth slide with the tread with PLA. So it's kind of sixes. It seems like people go either way with that. The one thing that they don't recommend, you can do it. You can actually print the tread as one piece. So the whole thing is already kind of pre-assembled. You don't have to take a bunch of links to the tread and put it together. But that is not recommended. While it is very convenient, they say that it just doesn't quite work as well. You need the tread to really be able to, like, how flexible the tread is and how it's able to just really, like, bend at every single hinge point, I guess, at every single pivot point. It's really able to hinge, and I think that helps a lot in terms of like having the gears run smoothly and providing less resistance. So yeah, that's the only thing that people don't recommend is printing it as one piece. But yeah, this thing's freaking sweet. It's still not done technically because like I'm supposed to have there's like a snow flap, that's supposed to be on the end and like a little tail light here, but I didn't realize that I hadn't printed those parts until the whole thing was together, and I wanted to take it into the yard and play with it, so I took it into the yard and played with it, and so that's why I considered it done, but it is technically not done. I still need to print like 2 more pieces of it to be considered completely done, but yeah.
Pretty cool, man.
I think it came together pretty nicely, and I will say, if you buy... Here, I'm going to put this down. Oh, man. If you buy all the parts that they tell you to buy... You will spend a lot of money. You'll spend like probably close to $300 on random hardware and like random crap. But you will have enough hardware to build like 3 of them. I think I need to buy a couple sizes of like M3 or M2 screws, M3 and M2 screws. But besides that, I think I've got everything else that I would need to make another one, which is kind of cool because they're selling for like, I don't know, You can find them for as little, I'm guessing, as little as like 350, 450 bucks, but as much as like 750 or 850
What I thought.
bucks.
Yeah, I was seeing
Like
them
if
pretty
it's
high up
fully,
there.
completely assembled, ready to go, I think you could easily get like 800, 700 bucks out of it, which is crazy because that's just a 3D printed toy that
But yeah,
I
but
watched come into existence from nothing. So that's cool.
but yeah, how many hours printing? That takes time, man.
Yeah, it
It takes
definitely does
time.
not calculate out. Like if you're trying to make a living off of it, it does not calculate out unless you have a lot of 3D printers to use. If you've got a lot of 3D printers that you can run all at once, maybe it would make sense, but even then
Huh.
I'm pretty
Sounds
sure
like
that
we need to talk to our, one of our old buddies. He's only got like, 6 of them in his
I
basement.
think that there's also there's like a network of certified providers. So if you want a Skeeride but you don't want to build your own Skeeride, you can
Oh,
actually
you got people
find,
that
yeah,
build
there
them.
are people that build them that are certified by the guy who designed them to build them and sell them. So that's just cuz I mean technically speaking, I don't know what the stipulations are in terms of me, like if I wanted to sell a Skeeride, they're technically not my, it's not my design, it's not my, like I didn't, it's kind of like printing, someone else's 3D printed skid, like flat skid, and then claiming that as yours and selling it to people. It's kind of like, I don't know,
That
there's
that's where when it comes to that stuff,
it's
and
like,
people even ask me, like, why I give away so much stuff? A lot of the designs that I have, I don't pay for.
yeah, exactly, you don't want to
They're
like
all
sell
free, and it's
something that
someone
you,
else's time. But
or even if you
I'll
did
tell you,
buy the file.
I also sell it for my filament and my time. Like it took me money to buy
Right,
that filament, and it took me time to print that for you.
right.
I could have been doing something on my own stuff. So
Yeah,
I
I
do
think.
want to give a shout out real quick to my friend. I think it's Jedi in the chat. I think that's my buddy from disc golf.
Oh, nice.
Hi,
What's up?
Jed. It's
How's
my
it going?
boy.
How's it
What up,
going?
DB Jedi?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about like selling other people's prints, or selling other people's designs. Because normally, like even if you're paying for the design, let's say like for the Skeeride, right? I paid for the files. I think it was like $30 or something like that, which totally worth it if you're interested in a cool project, especially if you've got like kids or something like that you could kind of go through the whole process with them. I think that would be really cool. I'm thinking about doing that with like some of my nieces or nephews who'd be interested in it. But you also have to have a kid who's into the whole, engineering, kind of just like the nerdy side of stuff like that. I could see a kid getting bored out of their mind with it, but I also think if a kid's interested in this type of stuff, it'd be perfect for them. But that being said, when you're buying the files, I'm pretty sure you're just buying a personal license. So like if I spent
Yes.
$30, I'm buying it just to use it for myself. It's like you would need to buy a commercial
But
license if you want to actually print them and sell them.
but
So
I think it's pretty much allowed that if you print it and then you sell the one item yourself, you're allowed to sell that item. It's just like secondhand anything. Like if I printed a 3D printed like car, whatever, um, and I put it on one of my rigs, I'm gonna charge for that of how much time I put into
sure.
put
Yeah.
that top
I
on, and
I
it could be 150, $200, but you know what I'm saying? Like
I think
I'm not.
I think there's a gray area there. I'd be curious what
Yeah,
people in chat think about that, because I've heard some people say like if you didn't design it and you didn't pay to sell it, you should not be selling it, period. And then I hear other people say that if you got the file and the file is an open source file, that technically if you print it you should be able to sell it. So I don't know, I think there's some division there between like what people think on that, and it comes down to probably their views. Well, maybe even if they don't realize it, it comes down to their views on like copyright law and how we should handle those
it's
types of things.
yeah.
um,
I mean, I get it, but I view it as like it's like the sliders I had for the V3s. They weren't my files. sometimes I sold them for like $5.
Yeah,
For a
exactly.
pair of
Just
sliders.
for it's not
Because,
like you're trying to make money. You're just trying to make up the cost of the filament and the time
yeah,
of the
my
3D printer.
electricity and
Yeah,
whatever to print it.
which
But
seems
now,
fair to me.
sliders that were designed that I
Yeah,
made,
if it's
printed,
your
and
design, that's
totally like,
that's up
sorry,
to
you're
you.
not getting the $5. You're getting them for 25.
Yeah, exactly. That's a now you've made a product. You're going from just sharing it with someone else and trying to provide something for them essentially for free or at the lowest cost possible, at cost essentially, versus when you're designing your own thing, then I think it's time to say, okay, this is my product. I'm selling it like a product. So I can make that. Even if it's not profit, it's maybe something where you're just taking that money and putting it back into, you're reinvesting it into more filament. You're reinvesting it into more designs and more time spent doing all of that, which is usually what most people do. Ryan says time and material. I think that's basically, that's like kind of the fair across the board. But unless someone explicitly tells you not to, then don't do it. Like if someone has their file and they say don't resell this, or they say, like this is just for personal use, then just use it for personal use. Easy peasy.
But if you throw it up on Thingiverse,
I think that there's still a way that you can decide what people do with it on Thingiverse, but I don't know exactly how that works. I've never put a single file on Thingiverse, so I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like a general thing that someone throws, like, "Hey, I threw this on to have fun."
Right. Oh, for sure. Like if someone's saying like, "Hey, this is like I just designed this, enjoy it." Yeah.
Here's a water tank, or here's a fuel tin.
Yeah.
Here, have it, have fun. They probably could give a shit less if you sell. I mean, don't sell it in mass quantities.
That's the thing. Is what are you like? What's the level of selling it? Like, are you selling it to make a profit and you're turning this into a business, or are you just giving it to friends and you're selling it and like we said, you're just covering your cost? I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. Okay, 3D printing went off on a huge tangent. Thank you all for enjoying that with us. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk. Let's talk about crawling, because we've actually been doing some of that.
Some of us have attempted to crawl.
You've been crawling.
I was crawling, but I attempted to crawl well.
Yeah, Mike has not been particularly happy with his scores from last weekend, which is upsetting because he got basically the same score that I did, and I am happy with my score. So that means that my standards must be too low for myself, because Mike is vehemently upset with himself for his score, which was the same score that I got.
By the way, I think it actually was 1 point.
It was 1 point difference. Which,
so
if we were
want to bring it up, but you keep on saying the same score.
It was practically the same score. Okay, it was less than 1/10 difference, less than 1/50th difference. The difference was less than 1/50th.
Yeah, there's 1 point that I kicked your ass, is what you're trying to say, but I still sucked.
So we went down to the North vs. South Utah RC Crawling Championship. You just got a window into how many times it takes me to say that right when I'm making an actual video. It takes usually between 10 and 15 times to say that correctly, because I'm always missing at least one word. I love this comp series, but I'm not a huge fan of how long the name is. I think we need to shorten the name up just a little bit. It needs to be like just a hair. I don't know. The whole thing. I guess the acronym could work, but NVS is it's not great. But yes, the North vs. South Utah RC Crawling Championship Southern Qualifier Round 2 is where we were last weekend. And that was at the St. George Regional Airport spot, which Logan graciously set up for us. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Scumbag, for hosting. What did you think about it? Give me your thoughts.
I thought it was a great spot. I have not been that far back into the airport routes.
Yeah, me neither.
Our comp last year, we were just right off the side of the road. And
I liked being further away from the road, both because we were further away from the road, which was nice, but also the spot kind of tucked back in there, and I thought it had a much better view. I thought it was a much better spot this year than it was last year.
Are we talking about my point of view or yours? I thought we were going. No, I'm just kidding.
Trying to keep a conversation going.
I'm just kidding.
It's okay.
No,
Some
it
of
was
us are better at
cool.
that than
I
others.
um, so the comp spot was pretty neat. It was a nice little cove. Um, next time we're just gonna, go over it real quick with a rolling magnet to get all the nails
Oh
up
my,
off the ground.
for real.
For how many I picked up around your car, I am so surprised you did not get a flat.
All terrains. Woo!
But yeah, you did win.
10-ply
It seemed
tires.
like everyone was okay. It was cool because you didn't really have to walk far to any of the spots, any of the courses. You just walked across the little dirt gully and you were right on to the next course. Um, Everything worked real fast. We had that extra raffle in the middle for Zark, and that took up a little time. But for how many people, how with our giveaway, his giveaway, and finishing, the day really went by fast.
It did. Yeah.
You really look at how many times, how many people were out there comping, and it really did a breeze on. Everybody was really helpful. Seemed like the Southern guys really
I watched your thought
up,
process
so to say.
be interrupted in real time there.
Oh, that actually was a text from my wife.
I know. I heard it come in, and then I saw the go brrr, put the brakes on.
Yeah. Sorry. Squirrel. No, the Southern guys really stepped up. It was really nice.
Yep.
This comp series that they've been really helping out judging. I really feel good about West Desert Wheeler. It's a little weight off his shoulders because we don't all come down and have to take care of business. That way, it just shares. Everybody's helps out, and it really. I think the scene is really potentially getting better in itself.
I think
I've seen so much more, instead of being scarce, more camaraderie with people this year.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people just really coming out and thankful and enjoying themselves. They're not, so worried about what's going on.
Right.
I've just met a lot of people that kind of randomly up and had certain conversations where, it's just like getting out and hanging out with the guys and, playing with your toy cars and not having to worry anything for about, 8 hours, 12 hours while you're or a couple hours while you're there.
I think it's a combination of, we didn't get to perceive as much of that last year, even though it was happening last year. I think we got to perceive less of it just because all of the slut crawlers and all of the people who were kind of helping put on the events, I think we were really, maybe not stressed necessarily, but we were just really focused on the goal of trying to put on a really good series. And it, I think we did a great job, but I think this year, we've really established the events a little bit more. We have kind of a flow and a rhythm for things, and I think people are picking up on that. People who were there last year are picking up on that, and they're able to help and contribute. Yep. And obviously, everyone's kind of picking up a little bit more of the slack when it comes to judging and just kind of coordinating people when people have questions. It doesn't necessarily just have to be one of the slut crawlers or the very few people that knew the answers. Now, kind of a much wider base of people know the answers to those questions, and so it takes the load off of everyone's shoulders and spreads it a little bit more evenly. So I think it's a combination of that, and I think it also is just that the scene is growing. We're getting more people coming out there. With more people, the load also gets shared over a broader set of individuals, and that helps. And then also they kind of bring and rekindle that energy, that excitement of being out there for the first time, which is cool to see. Yeah, I would agree. I think the spot was, don't burn pallets out. Don't just, if you're gonna burn
pallets, just take the damn nails out.
Just take the nails out, man. There's a reason that there are like rules and regulations that try to stop people from burning pallets. I get it, man. I've burnt pallets. It's really convenient. It's awesome. but take the freaking nails out of them and just put them in a plastic bag.
I've done it.
Or after you're done.
My fire once.
Yeah, after you're done, just run through the fire with a magnet and grab all those nails. Because holy crap, and broken glass everywhere. There were dogs at this comp, and I felt bad that like the dogs were gonna walk on broken glass all day.
Why
like,
do you think I never bring any of my dogs to any of our comps? There's too much glass everywhere.
And I will say, this community is pretty dang good about it. I've seen a lot of.
Well, when's the last time you saw a bunch of crazy guys with a 30-pack of Bud Light at our
comps? Yeah, no, we've got a good crew of people, and everyone is pretty responsible, and everyone even extends their responsibility past themselves. Which, honestly, at this point, with how many people use all of these recreation spots, it's just what has to happen. Unfortunately, you have to take responsibility for things that are not your responsibility. Otherwise, we're going to lose the ability to use these spots. So. Thank you all to everyone who is being conscientious about that, who is taking care of their own trash and other people's trash. It means a lot to not just yourself, but to others out there. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate you kind of encouraging the powers that be to allow us to continue using these places, because that was the one downside to this spot. Otherwise, I thought the rock was great. It's kind of interesting because the airport location is definitely not like most southern Utah rock. It's not the sandstone that you would expect to find so close to St. George.
It's higher up there on the plateau where it's not watered down, so to
right.
say, riverbed.
Well, it's kind of more of a conglomerate. The sandstone is very
petrified.
Sure, yeah, almost like a petrified sandstone in a way. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's a much harder rock. It does not absorb water like sandstone does, which was good because it rained basically a good portion of the week before we got down there, and the traction was still almost too good in places. It definitely is. It's a different style of crawling than that first southern comp. Which was, I know you weren't there at that one, but that one, you were there last year at that first location. That one's brutal, man. That one's really, really low traction.
Oh, yeah.
Out at Warner Valley or Long Valley, that rock pile, which it's the tons of great lines over there, but man, it's tough. And the way that Logan set that first one up, it was really tough. The second one, there were definitely some gnarly lines, but at least the traction was there. I've determined that I need to ditch magnet mounts on my comp body. That might be something I'm trying to do today if I can find time for it. I really should be able to find time for it towards the end of today. But
yeah, you can use those mounts that I gave you, those Power Wagon mounts. Let me see. I think I have one right now.
Oh, honestly, okay. So here
you can use those that I gave you for your Rock Pirates ones. They'll fit in between perfect.
Okay, that's good to know.
Just take the body posts. So you already have your mounts.
Perfect. So I can just use the Rock Pirates towers and just put those in between the towers and put a little pin.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might have to put a spacer, but I really don't think you will. I think it's almost the perfect width.
That might be okay. So the first thought that I had was with the magnet mounts, I already have brackets that are going up to right to where they should be for normal post mounts. But do they make some sort of a post mount that would fit on that bracket? That's my only, because it's like a very thin bracket. I'm going to have to play around with that a little bit and see if I can make something work without having to, because I am lazy, and that would definitely be the minimum effort to get body posts on there. Yeah. Although I will say I really do like, Cameron has gone with a new system this year. Yeah, you judge all you want. Cameron's gone with a new system this year that I do really like, and I if I could recreate it, I would be kind of happy. Have you noticed on his C3 rig, he just has two posts on. He has one post on the front and one post on the back, and then he screws that little thing on. Have you seen that?
No, I
So instead of like a normal body pin, like a clip, right? He has like it's like a screw on, and it seems like.
Print them.
Oh, is that okay? I'm gonna have to look into that.
The unicorn mount.
Yeah. Okay, unicorn mount. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's yeah. So I really like that design. I think that is. I think that's ingenious. Yeah, exactly. Except for instead of using a body pin, he just uses the little screw. Which I feel like the screw is nice because it kind of, the problem that I feel like a unicorn mount would have is that it allows the body to pitch back and forth, right? Because it's not like,
kind of. Because you just put a rubber or foam gasket, it will just scrunch right down.
Right. So that's, and the way that Cameron did it, he has kind of like, he has that flat screw piece that goes down on top, and I feel like it keeps the body flat. You know, whereas if you were to just use a body clip, it's not really working to keep the body flat. It could still torsion back and forth.
And the thing is,
he's saying he bought those from Corrupt Carbon Works, so that's good to know. That is anyone who's interested in what we're talking about.
What I've also seen people do is you just put a bunch of like two-sided, really industrial tape and some foam.
Oh, interesting.
Right around the inside of your body post hole.
Kind of as a gasket.
It pinches down on it.
Right.
On your body. And then the body clip goes on there.
It's pressing
flat.
That's how
Rango did to a Jeep Comanche body for a 10-2 I bought off him. And yeah, it's snug.
That's smart.
It also makes it so your body holes don't get reamed as much when
right.
You beat up your bodies because I know you don't ever
because there's like a cushion
body until they basically fall off your rig.
Yeah, essentially. That's what I'm after. Longevity.
And by the way, Ginger Ninja, I'm very proud of you for actually trying a different chassis. At least I know that you won't talk as much crap on Corrupt Carbon Works.
I thought that the Corrupt Carbon Works chassis did really, really well. Yeah, poke the bear. Poke the bear some more.
Jab the ginger. Jab the ginger.
I was impressed with the Corrupt Carbon Works. I thought that your Class 3 rig did really, really well. If you guys missed it, the Friday upload from this last Friday was Cameron's perfect run. I'll just say it. I'll just ruin the surprise. It's not ruining the surprise because it's still such a good run that you need to watch it. But it was Cameron's perfect run in Class 3. I think it was the first run that he did in Class 3 for the day. The truck performed really well. The driver performed really well. It was an entertaining run, to say the least. And I titled it as Learn to use four-wheel steer in Class 3 because, honestly, if you're looking for an example of exactly how I think you should be using four-wheel steer, it's the way that Cameron was using it. Very sparingly, only when he needed to use it, not oversteering with four-wheel steer. I think that he did it really well. Cameron makes up for the poor performances that I lay down in these competitions. So he's really holding the northern guys up on his back, on his shoulders.
He's always there taking one for the team. I got it, boys. I'll do it for us. We're in there back like, you're doing great, Cameron. Just do it. Great.
Yeah, right. Massaging, spraying water in his face. The little spritz bottles.
That would be. We should make a funny video versus North versus South and have to like dun 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 dun.
Dude, we talked about doing this last year, and then no one could commit to doing it. We were gonna do the whole thing with like Luke and Logan. It was gonna be like the Rocky fucking theme song, and they were gonna be like doing all their like training and they were gonna be looking all ridiculous in like fight outfits.
We just need to sit Luke down, give him a couple beers, be like, hey, we need to record you doing a couple things.
We could do it. We just need to actually commit to it. And we really should commit to it now if we want to have that video complete by the end of the season. Otherwise, even now, it's a stretch.
I only can produce, man. You are a much bigger part of this production. I can't just say, "Hey, we're gonna have another project on your table. Let's just do more stuff."
I will work on clearing time as much as I can make that
we
happen.
do have a small project after we're done live streaming, by the way.
Do we? I don't know what project we have after we're done live streaming. I have no clue what he's talking about.
Don't worry. Shh, it's a secret.
I had like 4 other projects to do after the live stream was done. Is this one that would be on my radar already?
It's already on your radar. We just didn't do it down south.
Okay. I'm sure you'll remind me because I have no clue what we're talking about. Ryan says I finally figured out the rear geometry on my Reaper. Very nice, very nice. I feel like figuring it out is really just choosing from one of the very many options that are available to you in terms of how to set up the geometry on the Reaper chassis. So that could be. I feel like there's something to be said. How do I phrase this without upsetting anyone in any particular camp when it comes to RC parts? There's something to be said for designs that are put together in such a way that there's only 1 or 2 ways to do something. Not necessarily because it's the best option, but because it is the best option for someone who doesn't want to spend time figuring things out, or someone who might be overwhelmed with the options available to them. Versus, then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got people who want every potential option available to them, and that's great, but just putting it out there that maybe there are different strokes for different folks in that way. Some people want to have everything that they can change every little bit of their rig and make it perfect for them, and some people just want a rig that they can put together and it works. I personally am somewhere in the middle, and it just depends on the build that I'm doing. Some builds I want to spend tons of time figuring out every little tiny piece and make it my own, and some builds I want to just be able to put it together and have it work. And I get both sides of that. I understand. I feel like there's merits to both.
My little this was you tiptoeing around the certain camps.
Yes.
That's what I was doing.
I think I did well there. I didn't call anyone out. No one got called out. No one felt singled out.
I know what you meant.
But yeah, I think I'm most excited probably for the Southern Round 3. I didn't know what to expect with the first round of qualifying. I really liked that spot. I camped at it, and the camping was fantastic down there. Very, very nice. Yep. The crawling was fantastic as well, but the courses were hard as hell. And for someone like me who is not a elite caliber driver, I prefer slightly less difficult courses. So round 2 was a little bit better for me in terms of the courses.
Those courses were easier than the other ones.
Really? The first one's easier than the second ones? Oh, I
thought
don't
round
know.
3, the cedar courses last year, the finals.
The cedar courses were pretty tough, but I'm just excited for everything about cedar. I'm excited because it's 3 peaks. The weather's gonna be fantastic. The location is fantastic. Camping's great over there. The rock is great. I'm just generally excited. It could turn out against me. It could turn out not in my favor, but that's okay. I'm just
knock on wood, bud.
I've got laminate. That's the closest I had.
I've got laminate and particle board.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on the North versus South series so far. I think it's really
fun. I think Wendover
it's really shaping up.
Be a spot.
Yeah, Wendover. I'm very excited for Wendover because I haven't done a cash comp out there. I've never done a 10-gate comp out at Wendover. The rock is crazy grippy.
I think
very
with the
interesting.
Amount of rock and places, I think Wendover could be more of a spot for a bigger event that the sluts could throw in the future.
True. Yeah, we could definitely do a bigger one out there.
Even to throw it out there, why not just make it a final spot? Because there's so many good places and lines that you could put out there. I mean,
Yeah.
they throw two different comps out there in two completely different coves.
Right.
And
That
they're
are
just
like right next to each other and completely
right
different
next to each other.
experiences. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I think I am curious to see the final spot this year, the Desert Mountain. I've been out there once with Luke and it was freaking sweet, and I feel like you could spend an eternity finding lines out there. Like there's so much rock to crawl out there, more than Wendover, more than Little Moab, more than any of the spots that we normally were normally at. But it is a little bit less accessible. It's it there's like no shade or anything like that, so I'm curious how that's going to turn out. I think the sled tent is going to be very useful for us out there.
I think we're gonna have a lot of tents out there.
Yeah, but I'm curious how it's going to work. I can see it going really well, but I can also see there being downsides, and I just wonder how it's going to work out. And the only way we're going to be able to figure out is to bring the group out there and see how everyone adapts to it. And I'm also curious, I spent time out there with Luke, but I don't know where he plans to actually have the courses. Like I said, there's so much rock out there that there's a lot of different places to choose from. There's probably places that I didn't even pay attention to or notice. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be really cool, and I'm curious to see how it turns out. All right.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see. We shall see. Ugh.
Well, I guess we could blab for 4 more minutes, or
call it a little bit early. We're gonna give everyone 3 minutes of your day back so that you can enjoy your Easter with your family. I think this was probably a more low key stream, both because we haven't streamed for a few weeks, so no one's really in the mode. They don't go and check the High Noon Hobby YouTube channel on Sundays anymore, and that's my fault. I will take full responsibility for that. There have been days where I've just been burned out, and I literally tell Mike we're not doing a live stream today, and I will own that.
And then Mike retreats with his little sad puppy face and back into his kennel
But then we've also just been doing a lot with the comp season coming on. It makes it difficult. We basically get cut down to between 1 and 2 free weekends every month, and that's generous.
Every single weekend, because he'll just get mad at me and give these weird, frustrated eyes that he wants to, but he can't because his mind's about to explode.
Yeah, I do. Believe it or not, I do need to take breaks from making videos sometimes, because my entire life, including my day job, is creating content for other people. And so it gets to be overwhelming occasionally, and I need to just kind of step back from it sometimes. So I appreciate all of your patience with me and your support. And I will continue to make weekly Friday videos for sure. And these live streams, we just gotta.
I like how you went down to 1 video instead of 2 a week.
There's no way. I have so many other projects going on. I don't just some do. I do not just live in the RC hobby. I have many other hobbies and many other projects going on outside of the hobby. And while the hobby is meant to, in large part, bring me happiness and joy, and if it overwhelms me, it is doing the opposite of that. So I try to keep it to a place where I am still enjoying it. Otherwise, there will not be weekly videos. It's definitely an exercise. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. It's an exercise in not burning yourself out, because that's something that I am very prone to. I go really, really hard when I find something, and typically go too hard and typically burn myself out on it. So I'm trying to not do that with this hobby and actually enjoy it. And I think I've done pretty well, but sometimes that just means that the content on the channel does struggle. And it means that you guys don't maybe get a live stream with Mike and I every single week. And I apologize for that. But we also need to figure out a better way, because once we get into comp season, it's just so hard to do every Sunday. It's literally impossible to do every Sunday. So
Maybe
I
we
don't know
should
if we
just
need
do
to.
a review. Ooh, we can do it on the fourth weekend,
Oh, that's
so to
interesting.
say. Kind of a fourth weekend review of the month, and
Review of
then
the.
what to look
Oh, that's
forward
an
to the next
interesting
part of
thought.
the month.
That's a very
Hey, I
interesting
got
thought.
ideas. Look at me.
Yeah, and then we could even because I was thinking about just pushing. There's not like an RC release or stream on Mondays right now, are there? Because we've got Wednesdays. We got this live stream takeover on Wednesdays. We've got the Thursdays is the radio talk. Don't Scale Builders Guild or no, Harley just does his own live stream on Fridays.
Yeah.
So I feel like Mondays and Tuesdays there's nothing there yet, and maybe that's something to consider, is pushing, if we're going to do a weekly show, push a weekly show to Monday. The only hard part about that is Mondays are typically my editing night already, but that might work in our favor, where I'm already on the computer, I'm already at the desk, I'm already with RC on the mind, and I'm getting efficient enough at this point that I can typically make the Friday upload within a couple of hours. So that does leave like an hour or two free. So we'll see. But I do like the idea of the monthly recap. That's a good way to stay consistent with it. To say, above anything else, if we're going to be consistent with it, we're going to do it one weekend a month at the end of the month to do a recap. I think that's good. I think we should commit to that. Yeah, I like it.
Hey, you know, I'm already been shoving in my chips. You just gotta decide when you're all in.
Hey, that's a weird way to phrase it. When
I'm just saying, the big blind already came around to me. I've already re-raised. So if you want to be in the hand at a certain day, you just tell me, because I'm always down.
Well, I appreciate your input. I do. Next weekend is going to be a full weekend for us once again. We've got both Saturday and Sunday booked up with RC, sort of RC related stuff on Saturday, and then obviously RC stuff on Sunday. For those of you that don't know, there's a memorial for Zark on Saturday. The information for that can be found on Facebook. I believe that Austin and Logan both posted about that, and also I think it's been posted in some of our RC groups. So that is something that's happening on Saturday in the kind of early afternoon, late morning, early afternoon. And that's why we've bumped back the second northern qualifying round from Saturday to Sunday. So the qualifying round will be on Sunday next weekend. I know a lot of guys are going to be getting hotels out in Wendover on Saturday night so that they can be there nice and bright and early on Sunday morning and not have to make the drive out there. Mike and I were considering that. I think maybe it's still kind of up in the air, but right now I think we're probably just going to make the drive out there on Sunday morning, because the hotel's prices are kind of ridiculous for Wendover that I don't really care to spend tons of time in just for the sake of spending time in Wendover. I love their rock. It's a great rock to crawl on. However, I'm not a big shitty rundown casino guy, so it's just not my forte, not my vibe.
Hey, as long as there's a buffet, that's all that matters in those casinos, and that's even shitty.
That's a risky maneuver in and of itself, doing the casino buffet.
Sometimes you just got to deal with what prime rib you can get.
This is whatever repercussions come from that prime rib.
Yeah, you go straight Disney on it. Just say, "This is the way."
This is the way. Follow me. This is the way. All right, guys. Well, I think we're gonna call it. We managed to ramble past what we even said we could potentially try to do. We're past it now, and I hear people in my house that I don't recognize, so that's interesting. I have to figure that one out.
Dun, 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 dun,
it's always fun, But yeah, thank you all for joining us. Happy Easter, everyone. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and yeah, we'll talk to you on we'll catch you on the flippy flip, as Michael Scott would say, or something like that.
Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flippy flop. All right, we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. I'm gonna do the skilly do. I gotta do a one hand skilly.